Hi everyone, welcome to Brad Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Today we'll be learning how to draft our 720 flare. To be able to draft a 720 flare, you must know how to draft a 360 flare. As we all know that 360 is a full circle. So we have a formula to be able to get the measurement for drafting our 360 flare. But this 720 flare I'm talking about, it means that I need two circles, meaning that 360 plus 360 will give me 720. So that means I'm going to be drafting, I'm going to have two flares which are going to be full circles. We have a formula for doing that. It's our pie chart formula that we all know in secondary school, which is 2 pi. So this is 2 pi, and we know that the 2 pi means 22 times 22 over 7. So 2 times 22 over 7 gives us 44 divided by 7. So which is going to give us 6.28. So this is the formula. This is what we're going to use to get our radius for our 360 flare. Now, the measurement I'm working with, the round waist measurement I'm working with, that's where I'm attaching the flare, is 33 inches. So now to draft a 720 flare, it means that I'm going to divide this 33 inches by 2. By the time I divide 33 inches by 2, I'll have 16.5. So which is, this is going to be one circle, and then the other 16.5 will be the other circle. So this 6.28, I'll be using my 6.28 to divide 16.5. That's 16.5 divided by 6.28. That's how I'm going to get the radius of this circumference I'm working with, this waist circumference. So in a situation where you are drafting just one flare, which is going to be your 360 flare, it's going to be 33, which is the round waist measurement. That's the circumference of the waist, 33 divided by 6.28. So now that I need two circles, that is why I've divided my 33 by 2, so which has given me 16.5. So I'll be dividing this 16 by 6.28. So now to get the actual radius I'm working with, I'm going to say 16.5 divided by 6.28. 6.28. So I have 2.6. 2.6 is what I'll be using. That's going to be my radius. So now that I have this 6.2, I will consider the length of the flare I'm working with. The full length of the flare that I want to have is the length of 9 inches. So 9 inches plus 6.2 is going to give me 6. 11.6 plus 1 inch, which is going to be half inch for turning the flare, and then half inch for attaching the flare to the waistline. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have 12.6. So I'm looking for 12.6 now. So to get my to know the amount of fabric I should fold to get my 12 and to get my flare, I'm going to multiply this 12.6 by 2. So what do I mean by multiplying my 12.6 by 2? Here I folded my fabric already. I'm going to multiply it vertically and horizontally. So it means I will have 12.6 this way twice, which is here already. I have my 12.6 already, and then I'll also have 12.6 this way, meaning that what I'm looking for is 20. When I multiply 12.6, I'm going to have 24 or 25 for thereabout. So I'm going to have 25 vertically, and I'm also going to have 25 horizontally. I hope that is clear. So that's what I need. So now that I have my radius for this circle, the circle I'm working with, the flare I'm drafting, the round circumference I'm using is 16.5. That's half of the waist measurement because I need two flares. I'm going to be, let me explain this first. I'm going to be using this crinoline to turn the hem of my peplon. So let's go into drafting the peplon. So I've gotten my radius, which is 2.6. So I'll come here and mark my 2.6. Here's my 2.6. I'm starting from the apex, from this part, the folded part. So from what we can see, you can see that my fabric is folded into 4. I said 12.6 times 2, which is 24. That 24, I folded it into 2, and of course, and I also folded the horizontal part into 2, so I have a perfect square now. So I'll be entering the full length of the flare that I want. I said that the length of the flare I'm working with is 9 inches plus 1 inch for hemming and also joining it to the waist. So in all, what I'm looking for is 10 inches. So I'm marking my 10 inches round. That's after the radius. I'm marking my 10 inches round. So this is my 10 inches round. So I'll go ahead and cut it out immediately. Okay, so now this is my circle. You can see how it is. When it is open this way, it's half, and then when I open this way, you can see I have my full circle. So now I'll come here. Now I'll hold this part and slash it into 2. You can see it's folded. This is how it is. This is the open part that is folded into 2. You come here and slash. Just pick one and slash. So now that I've opened this, I would like us to take the measurement so that we can see that this will actually give me the waistline plus my sewing allowance. So you see that I had 16 point what? I had 16.5. So you can see that this now has given me 18.5. I have 18.5. So it has given me extra 2 inches, which is for my zip allowance. So this formula works perfectly well to give you your zip allowance. So you do not have to add zip allowance so long as you follow this formula. Whatever the round circumference whatever is the round circumference of the area you want to attach this flare, you divide it by 6.28. It gives you plus your sewing allowance. So of course, this zip allowance now that I have is going to be one for the left and then one for the right. But I said that I'm going to be drafting I'm going to have 2 flares because it's 720. So I will need 2. So to be able to make this 360 flare become 720, I need to get another one, and then of course I'll have to join them together to give me a bigger circle. So I'll go ahead and place another fabric and cut this, and then I'll show us what to do. Okay, so as you can see, I've gone ahead to cut my second flare, and see it's a full circle also, just like this one. So let's measure so that we can be sure that we are getting it right. So here you see I have my 18 inches. This is my 18 inches. So, and I'm looking for 16.5. So that means I have 1.5 extra here. That ½ inch is for joining the 2 peplons together, the 2 flares together. So by the time I use ½ inch to join the 2 flares together, I'll be left with 1 inch. That 1 inch is going to be my zip allowance. So using this 6.28 formula, it will give you your zip allowance inclusive. You don't need to add zip allowance to it. It just has a way of giving you plus your zip allowance. Please try it and let me know. So what I will do now, I'll go to the sewing machine and join this part, and then I'll take my crinoline and fix it to the hem of my flare. This is to make my flare wavy. So what I'll be doing, I'll make sure that I trim this part so that it is straight, and then I'll fix bias. I'll use bias tape to turn this part so that it doesn't poke the skin of the person, and then I'll pin it ½ inch away from the hem. Pinning it ½ inch away from the hem because I'll be using ½ inch to turn the hem of my peplon. So I'll be pinning it ½ inch away from the hem, and then I'll use bias to cover up this place. This crinoline is it's like plastic in nature, so it can just cause some irritation. So please endeavor to use bias to turn it. I've also cut my main fabric, so this is going to be the main fabric. The same thing, So by the time I finish sewing my crinoline, let's get to sewing machine. I'll show you how to sew the crinoline. By the time I'm done, this ½ inch is for turning the hem, that's the base of this peplum. So I'll be using this ½ inch on ½ inch to sew and then turn it. So let's meet at the sewing machine. Okay, so you can see that I've used my bias tape to cover up this place so I don't have any rough parts that can irritate the skin or injure the skin. So, and I've also pinned my crinoline ½ inch away from the hem. You can see I did that all the way down. So I'll be sewing my crinoline here, and then when I'm done, I'll still come back and top stitch here. So I'll go ahead and start. Make sure you are taking off your pins while you're sewing. So I fortified before I started. Take off my pins. Make sure you are not pulling on the crinoline. Don't overpress it so that you can see how it is. It's giving me that wavy look. So when you drag it, you stretch it out. So please don't pull on it. Just make sure that your hand is just laying flat on it like so that it will help you to sew it easily. So I'm sewing my crinoline. I'll sew it all the way to the end. So when I'm done, I'll show us what it looks like. So you see how I'm sewing, I'm not pulling on it, so it's allowing it still give the wavy effect. So as you can see, I've finished up stitching my crinoline to the lining, and I've also sewn this part all the way to the end. So now I've gone ahead to pin my main flare, which is the main fabric, to the lining. So I'll be sewing on this part, this ½ inch, this ½ inch seam allowance I left. So I'll just be sewing on this part, and then when I'm done, I'll show us what it looks like, because that will be all for this. So I'm just going to sew on this part and then show us what it looks like. So it's really coming out nice. You can see that my flare is really full. This is my 720. So let me do that and then I'll come back and show us. Is it? So this is just on the table, and see how it is looking. This is how it's going to be on the person's body. If it's on the table and it's looking like this, you can imagine how it will be. So look at, I turned my lining. I made sure that some part of my Ankara fabric comes this way so that it stays nicely, so that it doesn't bulge. You can see my Ankara fabric. So that's all for this tutorial. Please, if this tutorial was helpful, like, share, and do not hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Invite your sewing friends so that they can come and join us. Let's learn together. Thank you very much. See you in my next one. Bye.